Let's jump right into it. Ancestral motion data, ancestral movement. Most people get it all wrong, period. Some people want to do good and they want to do right, but most of the time they just want to try and exploit and use examples of others to give themselves credentials to say, hey, I could talk about this, or look how holistic I am by talking about these natural living peoples, so then you can trust me and buy the stuff that I'm trying to sell you. That's really the vantage point that most people have. Some are worse offenders, some are trying to do it more right by it, but to actually speak from how some of the people actually operate, you have to actually know their beliefs. You have to actually know their culture. So to just go and take some movements or take a couple of pictures and to come back and say, you've got the answer based on this stuff, you don't get to do that. That's not how it works. You miss the essence of the actual thing that you're doing, trying to isolate to find things that are comfortable for you to understand. That's what happens when a lot of people go and they're just like, okay, what do these people do? Without getting respect from them and actually talking to them and whatever, it's just exploitation. And you're wrong because you're missing the essence and the soul of the matter at hand. So to actually understand, we're going to look at some people that I actually have relation to ancestrally. Okay, we'll look at the Africas, or as at least it's commonly known. Okay, now a common practice in indigenous African circles is to have a relationship with the ancestors. So say someone takes a picture and they see a posture or a position that's common among whichever indigenous group that they're studying or using as an example. And they'll say, look at how strong they stand, or look at how upright they are, and look at the position. You miss the essence if you miss the culture and the spirit and the soul and the beliefs that go behind the movements that are actually the thing that's helping prop the people up in the position that you're seeing and trying to use as an example. Right? So we're going to go to the animal kingdom for a second. When you see like a wolf or a tiger in its natural environment, you'll see it doing its thing. What makes it magic is because it is living its own natural life with and within its natural environment. So then that's what makes it the most magic. But then all of a sudden you take a tiger or a wolf and you put it in a zoo or in your backyard, you don't have the same essence as when it's freely doing its thing. Right? You're missing pieces. You're just trying to take the one bit that makes it like seem like, oh, that's all the story is, face value. You miss the magic entirely. Now, the actual beliefs, okay, of some of these groups of people, again, is the ancestral relationship or the relationship with the gods or the spirits. So they believe that physically, the ancestors, once they pass, their job is to help the next generation that's alive by literally having their back. So some believe that they're held up like this, which is why they have a healthy erect spine and can stand in confidence, right? And alignment because they physically feel and believe that they have the spirits of an ancestor watching their six and taking care of them. So if you just take a position, you miss that. Okay? Or the movements, right? When they're moving and they're doing these different things, they're in harmony with the natural environment in an unbroken chain that's gone on for thousands of years. So you're not just going to be able to go isolate and cut out a piece that works for you, bring it back into a gym setting, and then be like, it's perfect, plug and play. That's exactly how it works, and we're going to reap all the benefits. Because there's so many different factors going on. From the way that they believe in themselves and the way that they earned their skills through going through rites of initiation, for example, for the boys. Women also do that, but I'm going to talk about the men. They go through rites of initiation, rites of passage from the time that they're like young teens, like 13, and then they go in and they continue earning their stripes, going through things like endurance tests, right? Getting bit by certain bugs, taking certain plants, eating really hot foods. They do certain things that help them earn their confidence, their social standing within the group, right? That's what makes up that person. So the individual that you're taking a photo of or a video of, verbatim, that's something that's gone into why they stand that way and walk that way. And they believe in themselves because they feel like they got a group of gods or spirits or ancestors walking behind them so they're not alone. So then they walk open chested, not closed off, right? That's what goes into it. Okay, there's many repetitions that go into having a really healthy squat or the way that they do things in bend. And people just say, look at the mechanics of how they move. But within the mechanics or the story of, there's a story behind the positions that they venture into, right? There's a story behind the colors that they wear. They hear them as children. They hear them as they grow up. There's a meaning to all the different things. So because it has meaning, it has depth, and then they feel it, and then they physically wear it. So then they move different than people that are more empty. So you can't just take that without the things that give it meaning. That's like taking a picture of a human and ignoring that there's bones and muscles and fibers and sinews and organs within, and just being like, because I see that, well, you're just seeing a skin jacket. Without the things that like give birth to it from within, what you see on the outside has little value. And that's why people aren't repackaging the same level of strength or the bone marrow and density that goes in to the way that they eat, the way that they hunt, the way that they prime themselves, the way that they'll stand out at night by the forest line as a rite of passage to initiate with their back to it and basically stand there until they get so afraid that they might get attacked by an animal or not, and they just stand there. Or standing in balance for an extremely long period of time, right? Sweat lodging. There's so many different things that go into it that make the people feel like they've earned it, so then they keep it and they own it. They didn't stand there and do 1,000 reps in a gym in front of a phone in a camera preaching doctrine to get it. That's not how they did it. And the funny thing is, the people trying to repackage that way that already have completely missed the essence, they don't end up getting it that way either. So then a modern, like, relatable example, Barry Sanders again. Everyone's known everything that he's trained. Everyone knows where he went to school. Everyone knows how many times he brushed his teeth every day. They know what he trained. They know where he lived. They know what he ate. And yet, there's not been another one because they missed the essence of him sharing what was from the inside on the outside, and that being his performance. So when you miss those things, you're not going to get the power that they have because they earned it. And there's depth within in the culture. There's a respect there and a genuine belief that they're being taken care of by their ancestors, by ancestral spirits, even animal spirits, things that people view as gods. They believe that are there helping them, physically propping them up in their back, or taking care of them so that they don't need to worry and they can walk confidently. And then there's stakes in the movement because you're moving with the environment when you're going and doing things. It's way different than if you're running from a fucking hyena than when you're running for reps and you're just walking back and then you're going to do another one. Or you're going to stand on some boards or hold a wall squat. There's no stakes. So then the people don't get as resilient. To where out there, they get more resilient because why? You're moving with a purpose. When you're walking, maybe you're going because you're walking to go and defend your tribe. You're going to have a completely different set of energy and feelings when you're going like, this is for real, this is for keeps. Or when you're going hunting, you're like, hey, I am learning from the land. I've been raised by the land and I have a relationship with this land. So when I go and do something, it's not like me going to a convenience store to buy a chocolate bar. For me, there's stakes. I know I may be taking the life of something else, which is still hard to do, even though I've done it 1,000 times. But that is going to sustain me and my family. So it's worth it. And I'm grateful for the sacrifice of the animal for me to be able to take care of me and my family. You're going to move different automatically just from that. Then you're moving with the terrain. And then you might interact with something. Maybe there's a poisonous snake. Well, you got to deal with that on the way. You never know what's going to happen. You're walking up and down and dealing with rocks and stones and heat and vapor, right? Hydration. You have to stop and find water because maybe the animals weren't where they were before. Literal survival stakes. You're going to move true. You're going to mean it. You're going to try and be as efficient and effective as possible because what? You're doing the same thing that you've heard in stories over generation after generation after generation. So you feel like The ancestors are there with you. And there's helping spirits to help bring an animal across your path because they want to see you succeed. Because the ancestors are playing a game in the spirit world to help you in the physical world, almost if you think of like Hunger Games, and maybe they give you some help. Because on the spirit world, they believe that maybe an ancestor can go and talk to the god of the hunt, or can go and talk to like the patron spirit of the gazelle, and maybe can say, okay, I'm in charge of the gazelle. I can send this one your way so that way you'll know and you can have this one to help provide for your family because you respect me, you respect the land, you live in a good way. So then I will share my abundance with you. That's what they believe when they're going to hunt. And they'll even mimic the animals and the movements to try and find where they're going. All the way in there. Full stakes, high stakes, real life stuff. Those are the things on the inside of the way that they're moving. That's different than taking a piece of paper and going to the gym and being like, I'm going to try and do all that without doing any of the real things, and it's going to be the same. It shows the removal that people have. Right? But who cares? It's not about them. We're about, let's actually figure this shit out. Yeah? Cool. There's the stakes involved. Okay? Moving for real. Belief, feelings, true power, because you've earned the things. You've had to sacrifice and go through pain and endurance in order to even get it in the first place. All that is there. It changes you as a person. That's what goes into every single movement. And one of the main systems of every single thing that they have, from expression to happiness, joy to healing, to expression as a people, to the way that they tell stories and remember things, is dance. They say that the things that they do and believe and the things that happen within the dance makes every other single thing possible that they do. So that means they're not thinking of the mechanics when they're moving. They're thinking of, I'm good. I'm squatting. I'm good. I believe in myself because I know my back is covered. I believe that the stuff that I do in the dance, right, strengthens my spirit and my soul so that when I go and do other stuff, when I'm not doing the dance, I'm good. I have every single thing that I need. And anytime I need anything else, I can get back into the dance, right? That's what they believe. The dance to them is the way that they actually teach a system. And they teach the importance of dance and the moves and the feeling and all the things behind it. And everything else comes afterwards. Everything else is mundane compared to the dance in many of the different groups. When there's a problem, they dance. When they're feeling good and they want to celebrate, they dance, right? When they need to heal, they dance. That is their methodology. So some people may laugh and make play at it and think, oh yeah, that's not where the magic is. The only one that they actually say themselves directly that the magic is inherent and they teach as a system. Everything else, they have a different methodology that's lower down in the food chain of priority. They themselves don't teach mechanics of hips and a step and whatever else because all that other stuff is there and it happens naturally. It's almost like genetically, whatever happens, that ancestral spirit is there, that animal sauce is there, and then that's what ends up dictating their walk. So then they don't have to teach. But dance has so many layers and so much importance to them that it ends up always being the icing on every cake. The mechanics don't matter. To them, it's the soul, it's the meaning, it's the feeling. To them, the dance is the apex. Do you understand? And when they dance, they can access the memories and the knowledge and the feelings of those ancestors more directly to get answers for their day-to-day living right now. Take it in. This is important stuff. Because then you actually get to know versus trying to take a picture and be like, oh, but the essence isn't there. No matter what you do, doing that removed from the spirit of the thing, you're not going to get the thing. It's closed off. It's not going to give it to fucking robots and people trying to be mechanical with something that is fluid. It's alive. It's living. It's conscious. It's magic. It's power. For those who watched all the way to the end, you got something good. I appreciate you. Anyone else, just refer back to this video if you actually want to know what's what.